Hello everyone, this is Money Mom. Welcome to the channel. Today I want to chat with you guys about the cost of being poor, living in survival mode. Let's get started and talk about it. In many ways, folks that are really low income struggle a lot more financially and are spending more money than people that have more income, and I'm going to share with you guys on how this happens. And I've actually known several people over the years that many of these cases that I'm going to share with you today are true, and I actually had one of them happen to me when I was lower income, which brings me to number one: debt. You have folks that just are simply not making enough money for the month. They have enough money to maybe pay their basic bills, but when something comes up, you know, they need a tooth extraction, they need a tire fixed on their car, they don't make enough money to set aside savings to pay for it, which means they put it on a charge card. They can't pay the full amount, which means they owe interest on that debt. That happened to me, and the only way that I got out of that was I picked up a part-time job and I worked a full-time job. And so what I did is I paid all my debt off with that part-time job. And that's how I got out of that cycle. But that part happened to me, which brings me to number two. You don't make enough money for the month. You make enough, like I said, to pay, but you don't have enough money to set money aside for savings. So when emergencies come up, you end up putting it on your charge. Number three, which means sometimes you might have late charges because it's like, well, do I pay my credit card or do I pay my electric bill? You know, sometimes things like that can come up and you end up having late charges. And also number four, I know many people that have been in this situation. You might need a new piece of furniture or a computer for work. Well, guess what happens? You cannot afford to pay for a computer, so you end up doing a rent to own. But by the time you end up paying for the computer, you've paid 4 times what an actual computer would cost. But guess what? You're paying for that service to have that computer. So with that interest and everything, you're spending a lot more. I know you guys have seen rent to own places. You can end up spending a lot of money. Now, I've heard it can be a good way to build your credit up, but I don't know. I've never done a rent to own. Let me know your thoughts on that. Okay, number 5, buying cheaper quality items. Let's say you need a new pair of shoes for work, but you just simply can't spend the money, so you buy a cheaper pair. You buy cheap quality of everything, which means you're replacing it a lot more often, so in the long run, it ends up costing you more. Number 6, any kind of payday loans, basically anything that accrues interest, and if you pay the small payments or the minimum payments, it can take forever to pay it off. So that could be it. Number 7, you're buying mostly convenience type foods or anything that you can grab quick. You don't maybe get a chance to go buy something in bulk that you're going to use because you don't simply have that much money. So you may not even live right near a grocery store, so you might be buying some of your items at convenience stores, which have a higher cost. Okay, number 8, you may not have reliable transportation, so you might be spending more money on getting car repairs. I remember when we first got married, we had some older cars, and it seemed like one of them was always in the shop. And that can end up really sucking a lot of money out of your budget. And especially if you don't have the money, you put it on the charge, which accrues the interest. Number 9, and I've had this in my life happen, you can't afford health care, you can't afford to go to the dentist, you simply don't have that. I mean, you might go to the dentist, maybe you could afford a teeth cleaning, and they tell you, well, you need this done, this done, this done, that's going to be $1,800, and you're like, whoa, and you've already got an alternator you're paying off on your charge card. So it's like, well, I get the alternator for the car, or I get my teeth done, but you can't afford both, and it's because of that lower income. Okay, number 10, banking. I've known a lot of folks that when they go to a bank, they cannot maybe afford to open a bank, so they end up paying check cashing fees. Or they may not have the credit maybe to even get an account. Okay, number 11, basically to sum all this up, you're constantly stressed out and putting out fires. And number 12, many times a lot of things are just a great big hassle, because if you don't have the credit score on some items, and if you don't have the money, many times getting certain services can be a hassle. Basically, when you're in this situation where sometimes you're making too much to get help, okay, but not enough to really thrive and have a good healthy savings, it's really tough to get out of this cycle. The only way that I got out of this cycle is by picking up side hustles and part-time jobs. For me, that was the only way, because more money gave me more choices and more options, because I don't want to be in this situation. Money can stress me out enough as it is, and I like to have a healthy savings, and I like to know that if emergency comes up, our family can handle it. Let me know what you guys think. I always want to give your feedback. I love reading your comments. I want to thank each and every one of you for showing up every day at 10 a.m. Central Time, and I sure hope to see you tomorrow morning. I love you. Bye-bye.